Fear is programming. How the mind was conditioned to fear and how to take it back. Fear not. One of the most repeated commands in the Bible. Variations of fear not, do not fear, and be not afraid appear hundreds of times throughout Scripture. Many scholars often say the phrase appears roughly 365 times, almost as if heaven anticipated humanity would battle fear every single day of the year. And notice something powerful. Jesus repeatedly said, "Fear not because storms did not exist, not because pain was imaginary, not because danger was impossible, but because fear itself can distort perception. Fear can imprison the mind long before reality ever touches the body." Fear, one of the strongest forces on earth. Fear has stopped more dreams than failure ever has, destroyed relationships before they began, killed ideas before they were spoken, paralyzed people before they even took the first step. And the strange thing is, most people think fear is natural. But what if much of fear is learned? What if fear is programming? Some people even define fear as FEAR, false evidence appearing real. And while fear can sometimes warn us about genuine danger, many fears are actually imagined disasters projected into the future, mental movies, worst-case scenarios, predictions that feel real emotionally, even when they have not happened physically. The mind reacts, the body reacts, the nervous system reacts to possibilities that exist only in imagination. At its core, fear is a survival mechanism. The brain detects danger, and the body prepares for protection. Heart rate increases, breathing changes, stress hormones flood the body, muscles tense, the nervous system activates, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Fear itself is not evil. Without fear, a child would touch fire carelessly, walk into traffic, ignore genuine danger. Fear was originally designed as protection. But somewhere along the way, fear stopped being just protection and became conditioning. Psychologists often say human beings are born with only two natural fears: the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. That means almost every other fear was learned later. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of embarrassment, fear of public speaking, fear of abandonment, fear of judgment, fear of people's opinions, fear of success, fear of not being enough. Most fear was programmed gradually, experience by experience, voice by voice, memory by memory. Programming begins early. A child enters the world curious, bold, creative, fearless. Children dance publicly without shame, ask impossible questions, imagine enormous dreams. But slowly, conditioning begins. Don't do that. You'll fail. That's unrealistic. Be careful. People like us don't succeed. Stop dreaming. And caution slowly becomes identity. Sometimes parents mean well. They are trying to protect children from pain. But many parents unknowingly transfer fears they never healed from themselves. A financially wounded parent may teach scarcity unconsciously. A betrayed parent may teach distrust unconsciously. Fear often travels silently through generations. Then school begins, a system that often rewards conformity more than creativity. Children quickly learn. Wrong answers bring embarrassment. Mistakes bring shame. Failure becomes something to avoid instead of something to learn from. Many people stop taking risks long before adulthood because they were conditioned psychologically to fear being wrong. Even though every inventor, every entrepreneur, every creator, every leader failed repeatedly before succeeding. Then media enters the picture and fear becomes industrialized. Because fear sells. Fear captures attention. Fear keeps people watching. The human brain naturally prioritizes threat. Negative headlines spread faster than peaceful ones. Turn on the news. War, disease, violence, collapse, panic, fear everywhere. Because frightened people are easier to influence. Entire industries profit from anxiety. Insurance profits from fear of loss. Security industries profit from fear of danger. Weight loss industries profit from fear of inadequacy. Certain medication campaigns profit from fear of symptoms. Some marketing first creates insecurity, then sells relief. You are not attractive enough, not safe enough, not successful enough. So billions are spent trying to escape emotions people were conditioned to carry. Even religion, which was supposed to bring people closer to God, has sometimes used fear as control. Fear of punishment, fear of questioning, fear of not measuring up. Fear-based spirituality creates exhausted people, not transformed people, because transformation through love lasts longer than transformation through terror. And there is a difference between wisdom and fear. Wisdom says, be aware. Fear says, be paralyzed. Wisdom protects. Fear imprisons. Now here is where things become deeper. The conscious mind processes reality through the senses. What you repeatedly see, hear, watch, listen to, and emotionally experience feeds the subconscious mind. The subconscious absorbs through repetition and emotion. It stores patterns, associations, emotional memories, and eventually, what enters repeatedly begins shaping identity. This is why Scripture says, guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it flow the issues of life. Ancient Scripture often used the word heart to describe the inner world. Thoughts, beliefs, desires, emotions, identity, in many ways, what psychology now calls the subconscious mind. Scripture symbolically described as the heart, because whatever repeatedly enters the inner world eventually flows outward into life. The brain itself is extraordinary. At the center of fear processing is a structure called the amygdala. Think of it like an alarm system. When danger is detected through the senses, the amygdala reacts rapidly, sometimes before the rational mind even analyzes the situation. This is why people sometimes say, I know it makes no sense, but I still feel afraid. Because fear is often emotional first, logical second. The survival brain reacts before reason catches up, and repeated fear strengthens neural pathways. The brain becomes efficient at whatever it practices most. If fear is rehearsed repeatedly, the mind becomes better at producing fear. Eventually, fear stops feeling like emotion. It starts feeling like personality. This is just who I am, but often it is conditioning mistaken for identity. And trauma intensifies this process. Trauma is not just what happened to you. Trauma is also what happened inside you because of what happened to you. Some people experience betrayal, abandonment, violence, humiliation, loss, neglect, chaos, and the nervous system adapted for survival. A traumatized mind often stays hyper-alert, always scanning for danger, always anticipating pain, because the subconscious learned the world is unsafe. And once the brain associates pain with certain experiences, it tries to protect you from repeating them. A person rejected publicly may fear visibility. A child constantly criticized may fear failure. Someone betrayed deeply may fear intimacy. The subconscious creates defense mechanisms: avoidance, emotional shutdown, people-pleasing, perfectionism, isolation, control, not because the person is weak, but because the nervous system learned survival. The problem is, Sometimes the mind keeps protecting people from dangers that no longer exist. And this is where something fascinating connects spiritually and scientifically. Look into the night sky. Scientists say some stars we see no longer even exist. Their light is simply still traveling through space, meaning we are emotionally reacting to something already gone. Think about that deeply, because many fears operate exactly the same way. Some people are still terrified of failures that ended years ago, controlled by traumas from childhood, ashamed of moments already forgiven, reacting emotionally to old pain signals, like ancient starlight still moving through darkness. The event is over, but the image remains. And some battles you are still emotionally reacting to were already defeated long ago. This is why Jesus repeatedly said, "Fear not," because heaven often sees victory, while humanity is still reacting to old light. Fear also distorts perception. A delayed text becomes rejection. A setback becomes catastrophe. A challenge becomes disaster. Fear magnifies shadows. And many people suffer twice, first in imagination, then again in reality, sometimes never even reaching the real event because fear stopped them first. False evidence appearing real. The scriptures understood this deeply. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Thought shapes identity. Identity shapes behavior. Behavior shapes destiny, which means the battlefield of life is often internal before external. That is why scripture repeatedly commands, "Fear not," not because danger never exists, but because fear shrinks possibility. Fear disconnects people from courage, creativity, peace, faith, and purpose. And perhaps the greatest tragedy is how many people build entire lives around avoiding fear instead of pursuing purpose. Some never start the business, never write the book, never create, never speak publicly, never love fully, never leave toxic environments, never become who they were meant to become, because fear convinced them safety was the highest goal. But nothing extraordinary grows permanently inside comfort. Muscles grow through resistance. Steel forms through extreme heat. Diamonds form under pressure. Growth itself requires discomfort. So how do you reprogram fear? First, awareness. You cannot heal what you refuse to identify. Ask yourself, which fears are truly mine and which were inherited? Which came from trauma, from childhood, from media, from repeated exposure? Because once fear becomes conscious, it loses some hidden power. Second, guard what enters your mind. The senses are gates. What you repeatedly watch matters. What you repeatedly hear matters. What conversations surround you matters. Because the conscious mind continually feeds the subconscious. And eventually, the subconscious replays whatever was planted there repeatedly. Third, exposure. The nervous system learns safety through experience. Confidence grows through action. Courage is not absence of fear. Courage is movement despite fear. Every time you move against irrational fear, you weaken its authority over your life. Fourth, change your internal language. Words become psychological instructions. Some people wake up programming themselves negatively every day. I can't. I'm unlucky. I'm always anxious. Nothing works for me. The brain listens constantly. Repeated language becomes belief. Belief becomes identity. Identity becomes behavior. This is why speaking life matters, not fantasy, conditioning, renewal, reprogramming, and finally, faith. Not pretending problems do not exist, but refusing to let fear become final authority. Fear asks, what if everything goes wrong? Faith asks, what if healing is possible? What if restoration is possible? What if this is not the end? Because fear and faith both believe in futures not yet seen. Fear believes in negative outcomes before evidence appears. Faith believes possibility exists before proof arrives. Both shape biology, both influence decisions, both affect destiny. The question is, which one is programming your mind? Because eventually, whatever dominates the mind begins directing the life. And many people are not trapped by reality. They are trapped by conditioning, by invisible scripts written years ago. Scripts that can be rewritten. You were not created merely to survive, not created to live imprisoned by anxiety and inherited fear. You were created with the ability to renew your mind, to challenge false beliefs, to break destructive patterns, to rise above trauma, to rise above conditioning, to think differently, to live differently. So the next time fear whispers, you can't, you'll fail, you're not enough, remember this: not every thought deserves agreement. Not every fear speaks truth, and not every program running in your mind was written by you. Some programs must be questioned, some must be deleted, some must be replaced, because the mind can be programmed by fear, but it can also be renewed by truth. And maybe that is why Jesus kept saying, "Fear not,